Team Fortress 2 might just be one of the most iconic and memorable multiplayer games of the past decade.
But Kazoo, you said TF2 was dead!
Yeah, I know what I said, but hear me out. I was wrong. Yeah, that's right, I could be wrong sometimes, okay? TF2 can't really die. It's a free-to-play game after all, and that video was more just referencing how TF2 is long past its golden age. But forget about all that, because this video isn't about if TF2 is dead or whatever. Think of it as a way to redeem my poor older video. See, I've played TF2 for quite a while now, on and off. I'll occasionally get the need to suddenly play the game, and when I do, I play it like crazy. I'll do multiple matches a day, buy crates to unbox in the hopes of an unusual. It'll become my main game for the period of a few weeks. Before bam, I drop it again and move on to another game. Now, I do this with a lot of games, but TF2 is the one I find myself coming back to time and time again. It's a reliable game. If you're bored and have no idea what you want to play, then hey, just crank out a few matches of Payload, hop in, pick a class, and get killing. And because of this, I've enjoyed TF2 ever since I bought it. That's right, I bought this game in a package with Gary's Mod all the way back when I was a little kid. I'm no free-to-play scrub. I even have a proof of purchase. Oh wait. I traded it, didn't I? Yeah, I was a really stupid kid. Fuck! And ever since then, I've managed to gain around about 520 hours on the game, which isn't as much as some more esteemed members of the community, but I was a late bloomer in realizing what a masterful game this was. And that's why we're here. In my Overwatch video, I saw a lot of comments dissing TF2, probably because I pinned my mate Faf9's comment here, and that probably got under a lot of people's skin. Now, the statement TF2 is better than Overwatch is a subjective opinion, of course. But as we all know, if it's not my opinion, it's wrong! All jokes aside, I plan to look into the strong points of TF2, what it does well from a design standpoint, and even a community one.
So like what? 5 guys said it's bad, so you have to defend it now?
Look, I just want an excuse to gush over TF2. Could you at least just let me do that, you half-witted, droopy-eyed mongoloid?
Well, geez, I mean, you didn't have to be a jerk about it, I was just trying to make a point.
And with that, let's defend Team Fortress 2. Typically, when you think of Team Fortress 2, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Could it perhaps be the fun and addicting gameplay that draws you in? The endless amounts of hats at your disposal? The charming and genuinely hilarious cinematic shorts? Okay, yes, it's 100% the hats. But what's the second thing? Classes. TF2's biggest driving force is, in my opinion, the classes. All 9 of them to be exact. Some people may say only having 9 classes will get boring and stale, but TF2 limiting itself like this keeps things simple and concise. In these big games like Overwatch or even League of Legends, every month or so, bam, new character, bam, new character. The next day, bam, new character. It can get really overwhelming. It's like Mr. Sakurai said, why close the door when we can add even more? Well yeah, except when it's a literal plank! The problem with these huge rosters, however, is that it becomes a pain to try and balance all these characters. You could change a simple thing and make the 67th character OP all of a sudden. TF2 on the other hand has had rarely any times where a class has been downright better than another. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses that can counter other classes or be countered by another class. These 9 classes are all amazing in their own way, and with them being the focus, I think they all deserve to be looked at individually. First up, we have the Scout. As we all know, the Scout's main advantage is that of speed. You can get some serious momentum going as you zoom all across the map, using your speed for all sorts of things like dodging, flanking, even avoiding enemies. Well no, okay, not like that. Don't do that one. Honestly, Scout's main weapon, the scattergun, is so satisfying to use. Managing to pick off the enemy's medic or soldier is something that words can't describe. He's perfect for picking off enemies from behind or dodging all your opponent's bullets while working the health down with your trusty shotgun. In my opinion, he's definitely one of the more fun classes, purely based on his speed and jumping ability. Next up, we got Soldier. Soldier is one of those classes where the skill ceiling for this guy just never ends. Of course, new players will just go ahead and spam rockets as much as they can, which can work fine enough. But if you see a good Soldier, you better run, boy, because he'll make your life a living hell. Pro soldiers are truly terrifying. Rocket jumping is actually one of the funnest mechanics and probably the most iconic thing TF2 has ever done. I'm pretty mad at it myself, but if you can manage to get good, then you can honestly pull off some crazy movements as you travel across the map in mere seconds. Pyro, in all honesty, is probably one of my least favorite classes. Now, it's not like I hate Pyro or anything. He does offer a unique playstyle of using the flamethrower, burning your enemies to a crisp as they cry WM1 in chat. Personally, I like to go for a flank in Pyro and try to get behind the enemy team with the backburner. And items like the power jack give him a speed boost that make him way more fun and versatile. But personally, burning enemies just ain't for me. I hardly find myself playing as him, but if you do find joy in being a psychopathic maniac that likes to watch as his victims slowly suffer, then go on ahead and do that. With Demoman, on the other hand, I don't really play as him much, but I feel obliged to. See, the only unusual I've ever gotten was, unfortunately, yep, a demo hat. So suddenly I feel more compelled to play this black Scottish Cyclops. Unlike most grenade spam characters, I do think Demo takes a little more skill since spamming can only get you so far. You only have 4 shots that take ages to reload, so you have to save that precious ammo supply. Not only that, but it's hard to aim your pipes. It can be hard to lure people into sticky bombs and even harder to sticky jump with them. But shooting people with a grenade launcher does so much damage, and with that beautiful sound design of the launcher, he is a very satisfying character if you can manage to hit those direct hits. Up next, we have our boy the Heavy, or should I say heavy weapons guy, because he loves his heavy weapons. Being one of the more linear classes in the game, there's not a whole lot you can do to shake up his playstyle. It's pretty much always going to be walking slowly and shoot bullet, which if you do correctly, it can feel badass to play as this guy. You could go ahead and mow down 5 enemies, clearing the path to cap the point. And after that commotion, you could stop to reward yourself with a delicious sandwich. Hey! What? Don't touch that! Not until you've won the game! If all those other classes are a bit too exciting for you, then go ahead and play yourself some engineer, feller. Just set yourself up a nice sentry gun, few dispensers, maybe a teleporter before moseying on down to fix yourself a drink. Okay, don't actually do that, or else your sentry is going to be destroyed. NG is one of the most reliable defense classes in the game, and is perfect for holding choke points and providing the team with a lot of utility. Of course, if you're more of a frontlines kind of guy, feel free to switch to a gunslinger and become a fabled battle NG. I'm sure your team will love you for it. You know, there are only a few small people I love and hold dear to my heart compared to you medic mains. Seriously, you guys are the MVPs. I mean, without you, we'd practically lose every game. You heal us, deal with our constant spam, medic! 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 And have to deal with being the sole target of the enemy team. But without you, this team wouldn't be a team. And for all these sacrifices you make to heal us, I salute you. Then you got Sniper back here. Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. Okay, but for real, Sniper is a pretty boring class from my point of view. I get it if you like to play him to get those headshots and 360 no-scopes. I mean, I'm sure he is fun if you have the aim of a god, but for someone who likes to move around the map a lot, I can't be bothered standing here aiming from afar. Though, it is pretty satisfying to pick off an enemy when you play as him, especially with a headshot. Now we get to my favorite class. Spy. Oh, you handsome French rogue. Ever since I watched Meet the Spy, I fell in love with this class. Maybe I was just a psychopathic kid who wanted to stab people in the back, but either way, I did, and I loved it. Seriously, there was just something so drawn about being a sneaky yet terrifying force in the game. Cloaking before revealing yourself to strike, and when you strike, boy does it feel good. Spy players can do some crazy stuff, and there's a lot expected of you. You have to become a pro with your aim, a professional actor to fool enemies. You need to become a rocket scientist, deducing whether or not your enemy will be distracted at the right moment before you strike them unannounced. You have to become a pro esports player, performing trick stabs to stunt on some fools. Honestly, it can be daunting sometimes, but hey, I'm pretty good at it these days. In fact, there's one match I did so good that someone on the enemy team actually accused me of hacking, because you know, people can't possibly be better than you at video games. All of these 9 classes have their own unique playstyles that are all different from each other. Seriously, even though some may share the same weapons, no class really plays the same besides maybe having the similar roles of flanker or support, and each one is catered to your own tastes. While I don't find much thrill in being a pyro, maybe someone else finds it exhilarating to light players on fire. Or while I love playing Spy for its sneaky and tactical nature, someone may hate it but instead love playing medic for how much good it can do for the team. With so much variety, there's bound to be something here for everybody, and really, that's what I think drives the gameplay so much. On top of that, all of these classes, specifically their characters, have unique and brilliant personalities that are just brought to life through their voice lines, taunts, or just the way they play. The Scout's confident and cocky. The Heavy is loud and clueless. The Spy is focused and classy. The Soldier is of course patriotic. The Demoman's a blubbering drunk. The Sniper's a strict professional. The Engineer's calm and collected. The Pyro's a damn psycho. And the Medic's a charming yet insane doctor. All their personalities are distinct from one another and are each hilarious in their own way, making for a colourful cast of characters. And these are just displayed with near perfection within each of their respective shorts, with Pyro's insanity being on full display, Sniper showing the professional life he lives, Heavy showing us how much he just loves that gun of his. You get the idea.
Who touched my gun?
Back in the old days of the internet, these were some of the most hilarious videos made by a game company. I didn't even know what a Team Fortress 2 was, and I still had a blast watching through all of these. They were expertly written, genuinely funny, and after all these years, hold up incredibly well. Overwatch's cinematics may be amazing in terms of spectacle and animation, but it really just can't compare to the wit, amazing writing, and attention to detail these shorts offer. The humor isn't exactly just limited to these shorts either. You of course have voice lines in the game that will reflect the personality of each class, and they're all pretty funny in their own ways. Not to mention, the silliness of some items is just something to behold. Honestly, some of this stuff is ridiculous. You can throw milk on enemies, or better yet, throw a jar of piss. Is this some kind of fetish or something that is honestly really gross? You could slap people with ham, hit people with a fish, and that's not even jumping into cosmetics. If I did that, we'd be here all day. While the classes, humor, and charm of the game is great and all, it's not really enough to captivate players into returning time and time again. So in order to do that, TF2 needs to have incredible gameplay, which, if you couldn't already guess, it of course does. The gameplay of TF2 is never concrete. It can go from being one of the most satisfying and fun experiences of your esteemed gaming career to the absolute most frustrating thing you've ever experienced in your life. Damn it, why did I die? Seriously, I can't blame people when they get mad at this game, because if you're versing someone who's really good at the class, then chances are you're not in for a good time. But besides that, the game is still fun as hell. But what does make it so addicting and fun to play? Well, I'm sure a good handful of you have seen this video by Lazypurple, which if you haven't by some miracle, then I highly recommend it. But he explained it's all to do with single fire weapons mixed with movement. Pretty much, all of the classes in this game rely on single fire weapons in one way or another, and mostly all the ones that don't have single fire alternatives. In a game like Overwatch, you could kill someone as Tracer after shooting them 10 trillion times. And while it's true, you did kill them, it's not really satisfying. TF2, however, because of these single fire weapons, they can be harder to hit. When you actually do manage to kill someone, it just feels amazing. And it emphasizes the importance of moving to avoid these single fired shots. Because of this, there is no better joy than landing all your pipe bombs as a Demoman or spraying your minigun as a Hold on, wait a minute! In Lazy's video, he couldn't really figure out a way to fit Heavy into this rule. But here's my take on it. Personally, I think the satisfying part about playing Heavy is essentially being this destructive tank, this absolute beast that just dominates any place he decides to fight, spraying down any pathetic baby who dares challenge you up close. It makes you feel powerful, it makes you feel good. Because he's practically the only class with a heavy focus on an automatic weapon, it makes it refreshing to play as him after playing with a semi-auto for so long. If the Heavy was in a game like Overwatch that's full of automatic weaponry, I just don't think it would really work as well. Let's go back to classes for a moment. They don't just offer new ways to play or different experiences. No, all of these classes are imperative to the core game knowledge. Or to dumb it down a bit, you need to know how to counterclass. Counterclassing is important. You can't just run around as a scout and expect to take out the level 3 sentry easily.
What the hell, the answer is OP. Gaben, nerf him.
Hey, instead of whining about it like a little frail boy, here's an idea. Go ahead and switch to Spy to sap their machines. Or if you're not a fan of that playstyle, switch to Demo or Soldier and spam explosives to easily wipe them out. There are many ways to counter many classes. Medic gets countered by pick classes like Scout, Spy, and Sniper. Spy is countered by Pyro and Scout. The Scout is countered by power classes such as Soldier or Demo. So honestly, because of how many Finns counter other Finns, it can feel daunting picking what you may need to switch to. It's a lot to take in when you first start learning the game, but once you understand the meta, it really does come naturally to you. The game's called Team Fortress 2 after all. You have to do your part and assist the team, whether it means playing a class you may not be too familiar with, or if you don't want to win, you could just pick the 5th spy on your team. I mean, it's a free country, right? Please don't do this. That's not a good. When it comes to counterpicking, however, I think it's fair to bring up loadouts, as you can change these up to counter some classes. For example, a spy typically would get countered by the Pyro, but if you equip the Spicicle, then you can have an advantage over that pesky Pyromaniac. But more importantly is the variety that these weapons bring. With just how many weapons exist in TF2, the amount of combinations and loadouts you can make is stupidly large. You could choose to make a class that focuses on flanking, a class that focuses on mobility, or even just a class that destroys your enemy's will to live. It's great for a lot of reasons, but I feel the simplest being is that you can never really get bored. If you use the stock rocket launcher a lot and feel yourself getting fed up with it, why not switch it up for a direct hit and try to work on your aim? Or if you're tired of using a regular flamethrower, switch to a Dragon's Fury for a single fire alternative. Or just blow bubbles, that works I guess. Instead of being forced to stick to certain types of attacks or abilities with no choice in the meta, TF2 gives you a little too much choice in how you want to play. With the classes and the loadouts combined, it makes for an absolute masterpiece of player freedom. Even with the cosmetics, you can make so many cool looking loadouts that are fully customizable. Personally, my favorite is this spy outfit inspired by Solid Snake. Just look at how beautiful he is.
I consider I'll die and never be spotted.
Moving on from the game itself though, I just want to take a minute to talk about how great the community is. Because as far as video games go, I'd say TF2 has one of the better communities out there. From the general player base to the YouTube community, there are just so many wonderful people that it does feel pretty welcoming to play the game. When it comes to creators, there are some brilliant people here. You of course have Lazypurple, who has been making the rounds recently. His videos are just so fun and the clear effort put into them is astounding. But you also have very informative creators like Uncle Dane and MrPaladin, who both teach you some great things about their respective classes. I seriously don't think I'd even be that decent at Spy without Paladin's series, so hats off to you. There are others I'm neglecting to mention because honestly, there are too many and we'd be here for ages. Those are just some of my personal favorites. Now, of course, there are some bad eggs who will cry hacks on any person and in general just be toxic. But these people aren't really that involved in the community itself. They're usually people just playing the game because it's a free fun game and typically have no interest in being a part of the actual community. When it comes down to it, if people want to actually take part in this community, then they're pretty alright. Part of the reason I wanted to redeem myself from my past video is because I felt so bad about talking negatively when it has a community this rich and engrossed in the game. Truthfully, looking back on my video, I think it would have had more credibility if I had talked about the actual issues TF2 faces, such as essentially being abandoned by Valve. Right now, from what I understand, there are only about 16 members on the TF2 team, 4 to 5 of those being programmers. Now, because of this low support, this is most likely the reason big updates take a lot longer to come out. To get these out on a regular level, they would simply need more programmers, and Valve probably aren't willing to do that. They've always been pretty stingy when it comes to hiring members, and I think it's safe to assume they would rather focus their efforts on bigger projects like CSGO and Dota 2, which rake in the money via esports. I don't necessarily feel this contributes to the game's downfall, as it doesn't really affect the player base too much, but it does factor in drawing in new players. Typically, a new update like the Jungle Inferno update had that cinematic which works in pulling some players in, but when these are far and few between, it's not going to be much help. But that doesn't really matter because that's not what we came here for. It may not be at the quote-unquote golden age anymore, but I can hardly see TF2 falling out of relevancy anytime soon. The game's simply amazing in its own right, and it's as strong as ever. It's one of those timeless games that will always appeal to people no matter how old and dated its engine may get, or the lack of support its own company gives it. I think we're just so lucky to get a game as good as TF2 that's free, and has had so much heart put into it. There's a reason why I keep coming back to it, because it's such a reliably fun game, and if you haven't played it, then quite frankly, I'm convinced you're not even human. I mean, the game's been out for years, it's free, no excuses! Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Feel free to comment your thoughts and perhaps check out some of my other videos. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or join my Discord. The links are below. And with that, I'll see you later, boys.